in life has helped, has wrote or is writing a book. I'm not quite sure. And if he's finished it yet. And I know that he helped other authors with their books. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce Reverend Glenn.
Thank you so much, Mary. Yes, my book is published. It's called Queen of the Island. It's a historical fiction set in the 1500s of a young woman sent from France to settle Canada, and it's her story. So Queen of the Island, it's available on Amazon. And that song we just heard, Let's Live for Today, I heard that song when I was like 10 years old. It was a 1960s Chum AM hit. And the Let's Live for Today concept was now put into my mind, imprinted with the song Let's Live for Today. And that stayed with me all my life. So I thought that was an appropriate way to start off today's talk. For the past 8 months, since January, I have been participating with a group called Project Peace. And this is a reading and discussion group. There's members from all around the world. There's only, half a dozen, 8 people that show up on a regular basis. But what we're doing is we are reading the books of a woman named Alice Bailey, Bailey, Alice Bailey. And she wrote 24 books between 1919 and 1949. Most of her books were written in tandem with a Tibetan monk who was channeling information to her that she was recording and writing about. And she's also put in her own research and her own ideas, but a lot of it came from this Tibetan monk whose name was Dwal Khul, Khul. So Alice Bailey and Dwal Khul wrote these 24 books. And the group that I'm with, what we're doing is we're studying them in great depth. Basically, each of us takes turn. We'll read 1 or 2 paragraphs, and then we'll discuss the meaning. What does that mean? How does that, what does that imply, et cetera, et cetera. And her writing style is 80 years old, so it's a little more complex. It's almost like, not quite, but reading Shakespeare, when you read Shakespeare, you got to think about what does that really mean in English. And oftentimes with Alice Bailey, I find it's an older style of writing, so I got to think more to understand it. The book that we just started reading a couple of weeks ago is called Rays, R-A-Y-S, Rays, and the Initiation. And what this book is about is the concept that there are 7 different rays of energy that are available to us to use in our existence. They affect everybody. Knowledge of them gives us power, which helps us accelerate our growth, etc. So the rays and the initiation is how to go through learning all this step by step. And that's the book that we are currently studying. A couple of examples of rays. There's the ray of love, which was represented by the Christ consciousness, pure love. And then there's the ray of wisdom, represented by the Buddha, looking at things and understanding them. And love and wisdom are these 2 rays of energy that are available to us in abundance. All we have to do is tap into them. So I'm going to read this one section from the part that is called the introductory statement. And there are 6 particular sentences that I'm going to go through. And first, I'm going to read you the sentence as it was written. And then I'm going to talk a bit more about what that sentence implies. So the first sentence is, A few simple suggestions I will give you. These can be useful to all sincere aspirants. An aspirant is someone who wants to progress further down the spiritual path. And what that sentence really means, and this is something this author tends to use in her books, she only uses it occasionally, but when she's about to say something important, she says, pay attention to this. It's important. And that's why I took these sentences to bring to you this evening. And the next sentence says, in the ordered regulation of life comes eventual synthesis and the right control of time with all that eventuates therefrom. I'll read that again. In the ordered regulation of life comes eventual synthesis and the right control of time with all that eventuates therefrom. Let me translate that into today's English. As we gain power, we live in the now. The more that we are in the now, the more power that we have. Right control of time means consciously managing where our focus is, where our mind is. We have experiences in the past, and it's okay to remember. It's important to remember. It's important to learn from your experiences in the past. It's also wonderful to remember the joy, the wonderful things, the experiences, the things you've seen, all those things in the past. Those are good to revive within yourself. There's also the different traumas and difficulties. And it's important for us to understand and heal them within ourselves. But ultimately, we want to live now. Sometimes you want to go and think in the past, but while you're in the past, you're not focused on now. So be aware of that. Same thing with future. What is the future? Well, the future can be anticipation. It's wonderful. It's planning. It's seeing your progress. If I take these 10 steps, I'm going to get here. You know, thinking of the future can be very productive for us, but it can also create anxiety. Oh my God, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if this fails? What if? And it is important to use our focus on the future as a productive tool, not something that holds us back. So that is the meaning of that sentence. The right control of time is how we perceive things. The next sentence says, in the right elimination of that which is secondary, and in a sense of rightly adjusted proportion comes that accuracy and one-pointedness, which is the hallmark of the occultist. Now, when she wrote this 100 years ago, the term occultist was meaning someone who is using the energies to progress. And that's everything we do now. There's nothing witchy about it. It means that we are aware of our ability to alter energy as well as physicality. And our focus changes our experience. So what this sentence is reminding us is, don't spend a lot of time on lower thoughts. Don't sit and dwell on stuff that brings you down. You're aware of it. Think about something that brings you up. Think about something that carries you forward. Or the simple choice within meditation of think of nothing at all. Just relax. Just sit there in your chair in your backyard and watch the birds and the squirrels and the breeze and the trees and just focus on the now and don't dwell on stuff that brings you down. Doesn't mean ignore it. We don't ignore the things that we need to deal with. We just simply don't let them dwell and dominate our life. I got something crappy to deal with. Well, I make a plan and I deal with it. And then it's done. Or not. And then I'm going to make another plan. So the next sentence says, in the right aspiration of the appointed time comes the necessary contact and the inspiration for the work that has to be done. I'll read that again. In the right aspiration at the appointed time, which is now, comes the necessary contact and the inspiration for the work that has to be done. Humanity is evolving now. We all see it. It's haywire out there right now. There's all kinds of stuff going on in the mass consciousness, and it's helping us grow. And it's a wonderful thing. And we all get to participate in it. Conflict accelerates growth. It identifies for us what we don't want. It also helps us or requires us to clarify our position. If I say something and someone says, no, that's not true, well, then I have to go the next step. Well, why would they say that? Maybe it's not true. What do I need to know to convince them or find out? Like, it's knowledge is depth, and that's okay. It's okay to be questioned, and it's okay to question other things. In the appointed time. That's the suggestion. She wrote this 100 years ago, not 100 years ago, 80 years ago, when World War II was just kind of wrapping up and the world was in turmoil and there were all kinds of political conflicts and mankind was trying to figure out where do we go from here. And we're still doing that. So I found that everything she's written still applies here and now. The next sentence, in the steady adherence to self-appointed rules comes the gradual refining of the instrument and the perfecting of the vehicles that will be to the master the medium of help among many little ones. You are in charge of you. When it talks about self-appointed rules, it's talking about self-discipline. And self-discipline comes in many levels. It comes in your physical, it comes in your mental, in your emotional, and in your spiritual. They all require, or they are all open to, a level of self-discipline that helps you do better. Right? There's certain things that if you do them in the physical world, are going to be good for you. So do them. There's certain things that are bad for you. Well, sometimes we do those every now and then. But, consciously, if you were working on disciplining yourself, you set your own rules. What am I going to eat? What am I going to drink? What am I going to, et cetera, et cetera. Same with emotions. We're all human. We all have a variety of feelings, and sometimes those feelings come out, and sometimes we get angry, and sometimes we make statements where we regret, and that we're all people. Right? However, we have the power to sit back and look at and understand why we feel what we feel, and then to make choices. Sometimes those choices involve healing. Sometimes we need to heal in order to feel better about certain things. Sometimes we just need to change how we look at it. Hey, it's raining outside. What a drag. Well, it's raining outside. That's great for the flowers. Perception changes everything, and it is a choice. Self-discipline and physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. You don't have to be perfect. No one is. But if you pay attention to elements of that, progress accelerates. The final sentence of the 6 that I'm going to share with you today says, I commend the above thoughts to you, knowing that you will apprehend the implications and will seriously consider the purport of my remarks. She started out this section saying, this is important. And she finished the sentence or the section by saying, that was important. So the main summary It's a volatile time in the history of mankind. We all know that. We all feel that, and we're all participating in it. We're all aware of this. Each of us has a role to play, and the power to accelerate our growth exists within us, and it occurs through our use of our own consciousness. It's really quite simple. Doing it regularly is harder than that, but every little bit makes a difference. Every concept that we increase our awareness, it makes us see more. And as we see more, we share more with others. Light work creates ripples, and you are a ripple maker. May you all be blessed.
Thank you.